How's it going, everyone? Javita here with, I guess, a new feature introduction. This is for the new worlds on the special hunting servers. If you're unfamiliar, the devs hosted like this massive community hunt on these special servers, and yeah, to get footage for a new trailer that they're working on. But this is the first we've been able to actually get on and try out the new worlds that they've been working on. James did tell me on a number of different occasions that all of this is still a work in progress, and in fact all of this is going to be reiterated probably several more times to get world generation just right for launch. So don't get too attached to these servers. I would throw in kind of how to get on these servers. Sadly, I think by the time this video goes live that the servers will no longer be available to play on. But maybe they'll bring them back on, or they'll go to testing or something like that. But anyway, let's get down to business. I noticed several new blocks that are available on many of the new worlds. So this first one we have here is Dark Glass. I haven't seen this one in any different colors, but it looks pretty amazing. There's also this ash block that I've seen this even on the tier 0 planets or the starter worlds, and as you can see, you can just break it with the totem. And then also this tangle over here, you do need at least iron to damage this. These two blocks, according to their descriptions, supposedly will be able to slow down your character, or suggest that they might. Can't really tell a difference at the moment, so maybe that's not quite added in just yet. And then there's also this awesome, what is it called, thorns over here. And the description of this block suggests that maybe it can damage you, but so far nothing. So again, all this is a work in progress. Maybe it just has a small chance, or who knows. And then finally there's this over here. This might actually already be on live. This is normally found underwater, and it is a branch funnel fungus. So this might be on Septerfon or Epsilon in the ocean biomes, but those are not normally places I like to go, so it doesn't really surprise me that this is the first time I'm seeing it. But as you can see, it drops both vital orbs and reactive lamella, so pretty awesome. But just to give you an idea of at least how the ash spawns in the world, there's these awesome, I guess kind of like burnt biomes, because there's trees with no leaves, and then there's the ash blocks on the ground. So pretty awesome. So I guess at some point this might slow down your character movement if you walk on it, but for now I honestly can't tell a difference. So it's either really weak or not implemented yet. Also coming over here, you can see an example of some of the new awesome prefabs. If you've already seen my unofficial trailer video, then you probably are already familiar with these, but I mean, look at these awesome standing stones. This is just crazy, like reminiscent of Stonehenge. And yeah, this was the inspiration for like discovering a lost civilization, like maybe the Oort, or you know, there's really not hardly anything known about the lore of Boundless other than, okay, there's these standing stones, there's been other marine prefabs that are currently on live, and then yeah, you harvest tech remnants and components and devices to build technology. So that was the inspiration for those portions of that video. So but yeah, there's a crazy amount of new prefabs. There's like new trees. There's this awesome unified water system that unifies, or well, it basically makes a planetary water system of lakes and rivers, and it's just awesome. So it's no longer just kind of these isolated ponds. You now actually have full-blown basically oceans, and then rivers connecting them. It's just awesome. Moving along, there's also several types of new worlds. So we have tier 0 all the way to tier 7. So that's 8 levels of difficulty. Both tier 0 and tier 1 planets are considered starter worlds. So tier 0 are for players that want a peaceful, non-combat type experience starting off. And then tier 1 planets are also considered home worlds that are for players that want more of a survival scenario where you actually have to worry about that spitter coming up and attacking you, and etc. So that will be awesome when that finally gets implemented, that, oh, when you start a new character, you get an option, you know, peaceful versus a little bit of combat. And basically, the planet tiers are kind of a spectrum of how extreme the terrain is going to be. As I said, this is an iteration. They're going to fine-tune and tweak this, but at least for these servers, the Placid or the two homeworlds, they're pretty benign as far as terrain. This is kind of the little area that the devs set up to get ready for the hunt, but if you look around in this area, it's all pretty benign and flat. And yeah, perfect for building a massive civilization, because look at this, you don't have to like clear and level off a huge amount of land just to build a nice settlement. So that is pretty awesome. Pretty much the current solution to this type scenario is either you spend a lot of time clearing off the land, or you just build it floating up in the sky, which doesn't, I kind of like to work with the terrain a little bit more than that. As far as color palettes, there's some pretty bizarre and otherworldly type color palettes, so if you wanted to live on that hot pink world, go for it. And the color palette does not necessarily correspond to the difficulty of the world, so you can find a perfectly bizarre looking world and still be on a low level planet, and you can find a high level planet that looks fairly Earth-like, so that is quite nice. I'm really happy that seems to be a thing that they're going for. So as I said, the terrain on the homeworlds are pretty benign. So tier 2 worlds and up, the terrain starts to get a little bit more rugged. You start getting some respectable mountains, as well as meteors, cuddle trunks, and gleams. So pretty nice. And from there all the way up to tier 7, it's a pretty nice progression of the terrain getting much more alien-like and extreme, with the tier 7 worlds being flat out bizarre, and honestly, for the time being, your greatest enemy is probably going to be the terrain itself. Even with a sapphire grapple, I was having trouble getting around. Thankfully, James was kind enough to give me a little bit of a helping hand on that. However, if you're like me and not easily deterred by rough terrain, it allows for some pretty interesting mining opportunities. Let's jump over to this world that kind of already set up a little test mine, but it's pretty awesome. It is a corrosive world, tier 7, which is the highest. Yeah, let's take a look at this. So, crazy mountains. Get a little kind of side shot. So it has like this kind of central core, but then all these fins kind of radiating out. But jumping down here, as you can see, it's pretty awesome resource distribution. This is all, of course, still a work in progress. So how dense these resources are, as well as how many they drop, is not set in stone by any means. But over here we have amethyst, which, considering it's a corrosive world, is not too surprising. But over here we can see that there's also emeralds. So as far as I can tell, gems are now going to spawn kind of in pairs. So if you're unfamiliar, creatures that are corrosive are naturally resistant to the corrosive element, which comes from amethyst, but also they're pretty darn resistant to toxin as well, and that's because corrosion and toxin basically go together. This is also mirrored in the atmospheric protection skills. You may have noticed that there's only 3 skills for a total of 6 elements. That's because each skill does 2 elements at a time, and also corresponds with the changing chisel that I showed in the forge video. So pretty darn amazing there. So it does seem like emeralds are a little bit rare just because, well, this is a corrosion world, but it's pretty nice that you can now get 2 gems on a single world, so quite nice. So in this iteration of the resource distribution, all of these resources seem to drop around 6 to 8 with max luck, so I'm sure that will be tweaked and balanced in the coming iterations. At any rate, this is amazing. Speaking of elemental worlds, as you can see here, this is a blast planet that I'm looking at. If we check out what planet I'm on right now, this is a special world. And a quick note on planet levels. So in some places of the game, they start at 0 and go up to 7, but then other areas it'll say level 1 going all the way up to level 8. So I apologize for any confusion. Yeah, here we go. System tier number 7. So it's a level 8 planet, but then it's tier 7. So a little bit confusing, but here's a blast planet. And if we look around, there's another shock, chill, shock. Okay, here we go. Here is a savage coal world, as in what you burn for fuel. So now not only can you go to the familiar elemental planets to find things like gems, if you're after something like coal, then you can go to a planet that literally specializes in coal. So here is one of essentially the starter worlds, and it's a temperate lush planet. So lush could have to do, maybe it's just because it's a home world, or that it more specializes in vegetation. That is still all kind of a work in progress, so don't get too attached to these names. Over here we have a metal world, so presumably you go there to find lots and lots of titanium if that's something you wanted to focus on. And then over here, there's even another special world. It's actually hiding behind this planet. That's a chill planet there, but there's a little star that almost can't see. So pretty awesome. Special worlds, they specialize in the, special materials such as blink, rift, and dark matter. So for the super high level equipment, you would need to go to a special world. Okay, after a very, very long search, I was finally able to find some blink on a special world. As you can see, it blinks, and it even blinks in the dark. So if you happen to trip over this in a dark area, it should be pretty hard to miss. Wow, that's some heavy fog. But I've had a look around, and blinks for at least the time being seems to favor mountains. So this could all certainly change in the future, and yeah. But for the time being, this is what it looks like. Again, that might even change, so all of this is still very much a work in progress, as well as its distribution and where exactly it spawns. So I found this little bit way down at altitude 11, but I've yet to confirm if it only spawns down here or if it can spawn higher up. This is just literally the first bit that I found. So yeah. And I almost forgot to show, it does take at least a gem hammer to break this, so as you see, titanium is not enough, but yeah, gem will do the job. Coming back to prefabs a little bit, as I said, there's some pretty amazing trees. You have like these hanging gleam berry fruit things, or maybe they're alien eggs, who knows. But also just some really bizarre one, like these they look like these ginormous eggs nestled in a bed of tangle or something, and they're actually hollow, so there's not really anything interesting inside there, but they could be like an emergency temporary home or shelter or something. So there's that. Well, okay, this isn't exactly a prefab, but look at all of this massive amount of pink gleam. This is just, I guess maybe magenta, or I don't know, but it's amazing. Just like, so in other words, exploration is going to become so much more important, because now if you know the right planet and location to go to, gathering things could be potentially effortless. And this extends even to trees. Look at these amazing massive trees. Not only do they look amazing, but I mean, if you need a massive amount of wood for bark or crafting, whatever, I mean, this is the tree to go to. I mean, get an AoE tool and just go to town. And these amazing prefabs are in no way limited to just the surface, like these amazing giant clams. I've actually seen these on numerous planets and in various different color schemes. They're quite nice. Okay, well, I think I more or less covered everything I can at least squeeze into a 15-ish minute video. I literally have about 3 hours of shots of basically what you're looking at right this second, of just kind of these gliding scenes of interesting stuff. So Yeah, I'll be looking for just about any excuse to use these. May even make like a new intro for every video that I do. Anyway, I'm super excited to get any new version of any kind of planet. What I've seen so far is pretty awe-inspiring, and I'm sure they'll only get better with time, so quite excited. This was Javita. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more like this, and if there's anything you didn't like, please let me know down below. Also, if you like my channel and want to get cool perks, check out my Patreon page. Until next time, peace.